Hey guys, this is Jordan, and today I'm going to be talking about trans Reddit slash detrans Reddit. I am a man who thought he was a woman for 3 years, so I took some hormones, and I thought about getting surgeries, and I thought about doing this stuff because I have maybe some internalized shame about who I am, and just about my manhood. So today I'm going to be talking about kind of the woman side of this stuff because I've been seeing on Reddit a lot of women get caught up into this because, yeah, it is a social contagion and there's definitely a social effect going on. In fact, one of my experiences was back in high school. I had heard of this girl, this little girl, this 10-year-old girl who thought she was non-binary and a lesbian. And I lived in a rural town in Minnesota. So that really says how far this stuff is spreading. And I think it's definitely a social contagion because when has this many people identified in this way and thought that they were born in the wrong body? So I think it's a mass hysteria movement. So this one woman on Reddit, I'm not going to say her name for privacy reasons, but maybe I should because, it's on the internet. She had gotten 2 trans surgeries and she had been taking testosterone for like 15 years since she was like really young. So she got double mastectomy for her first surgery. Yeah, they removed all of the breast tissue that she had, and then they moved on to a phalloplasty, which is what some women get for reconstructing the genitals to look like male genitals. Apparently it's for men that like lose their penis or like have injuries to it too, but these are still risky surgeries. And apparently it does it with emotional difficulties too, which basically means that men miss their penis that used to be there, but now it's mostly for women. And basically they use flaps from arms or like legs, and in her case they used her arm. And I had kind of scarred myself so you didn't have to. So I watched some of these videos of her showing off this thing that kind of vaguely resembles a penis, but is not in, since I'm a penis haver. And what they want to probably start to call men, but they're not going to because they're obviously biased here and sexist. But anyways, she had this thing attached to her that looks, and it looks vaguely like it, but it's like lighter and it does not function right. Like she's got fake scrotum from the labia is what I've heard. And basically they put silicone balls in there, and then they put this kind of air pump in one of them, or in the middle of it, and it's like, it's pretty, the ingenuity is pretty, I guess, like decent, I would say, but like aesthetic wise, nah, there's something definitely off about it. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's like a zombie dick, because it's not a dick. It's a phalloplasty for women or men that had lost their dicks, and now it's mostly for women. I think they're men. And basically she had trouble peeing with it, I think, from the videos she's shown on her page, and she'd have to like squeeze it out. It was like she had to squeeze out the skin flap because it wouldn't completely come out. And that's a little weird to me because like when I've had bladder problems and I would pee a lot and it wouldn't come out, I wouldn't never do that because eventually it would just kind of dribble out. But it's like, for functionality, maybe it's half decent, and obviously it doesn't produce any of the semen or anything, so. And it's got all these scar lines and stuff in it, and like that's a little odd, and like it's like She knows how to take care of it though, which that's good for her. But it's like her whole arm, the whole arm is like missing skin, and it's like kind of like you can see where they took the skin. It's like thinner, and it just, I don't know, like it just looks odd to me, uncanny is how I would describe it. And it's like, I mean, she regretted it, like not even like 2 years later. And it just seems like they, even with all this psych evaluation, all this stuff that they could have done, and it's like everything has to fall into place so perfectly. You know, it has to be a candidate that likes surgery, for one. It has to be a candidate that really truly believes that they're in the wrong body their whole lives. And it really has to be like, it has to be really specialized to someone. But I'm not sure it specializes to everyone. And it definitely didn't do it for her. And she's even thinking about removing the phyllo, which I was curious about it because I've never seen a woman who really got one and then wanted it off. But it's like, it makes me kind of feel bad because, like, for one, she could have just gotten a standing peeing thing, like how some women do where they want to stand and pee. And for two, she could have just gotten a strap-on or something, or a packer is what some trans-identified females wear. But that just wasn't enough for her. Like, it just like seems like to me that like it's never enough for these people. And I mean, I shouldn't make, you know, that general assumption for all of them, because some of them are like, oh, this is enough for me and I'm finally done. But it's like the dysphoria just comes back always with a lot of these people too, and it's like nothing is enough, because nothing will ever be enough, because you'll never be the other's gender or sex or whatever you call it. You might look like it, but you might not be it. So, you know, I asked in the comment section, like, is it worse to remove the skin flap, or is it like, I mean, I assume that would be better to remove it, because then, you know, her, like, you could, you know, she could use her vagina again and it was like buried under all that skin. But people have said that they basically removed all of her organs, all of her female organs, like the uterus, the fallopian tubes, ovaries, all that stuff, and then they kind of close the vagina with like stitches, and it's like she's never going to get that back. And it's like they make it seem like, you know, these radical gender people make it seem like, oh yeah, you can be gender fluid and change your gender whenever you like and it's fine. And it's like, she can't change her gender back or whatever, because her parts are permanently kind of almost disfigured and like damaged. Like, she's never going to get that back. And it's like, they always like rave about these people who are gender fluid or non-binary, but they're just changing clothes and using different labels. They didn't do such an extreme thing like she did, and she's going to have these life consequences for the rest of her life with these health problems possibly because of having a skin flap on a female's body in that area. It's like these people just want to make this money, and they don't actually really care about the lives that they could be affecting down the line. Another thing is, I've heard this used a lot with homophobia, you know, that word, and how people don't accept gay people, and that's like the word that they use for it. But more it's like stereotyping, and, you know, I mean, it is homophobic when people are like saying, oh yeah, it's like trauma that caused it, or I don't even know. I mean, even then, that's just their opinion about it, or they're just plain dumb about it. But I've went into kind of battles, I guess, internet battles with people that really believe that homosexuality is just caused by trauma, which isn't the case. And there's many different reasons why it happens, and some of it is just natural because a lot of animals, including humans, just do it naturally because you don't need to reproduce all the time, and in a given population there will be gay animals, and as humans we do sex for pleasure a lot of the time, whatever is pleasurable basically, so it doesn't really matter anyways. And then this one person was like, well, it's trauma induced. Well, if it's trauma induced, tell me how you're gonna cure these children of their homosexuality. And she's like, I'm still waiting for her to respond, but it's like, I'm just thinking she just doesn't like gay people. I'm thinking she's just like, she just can't accept that there's people that are not like her, that there's people that are different. Part of that is like, and this comment was on YouTube, so not Reddit, but so this is like a side thing. But it's like the comparison between homosexuality and transgenderism, and how some people, and I'm going to get into the Reddit part of this, say like transphobia, is that basically they have this falsehood belief that their gender is somehow wrong and their bodies are wrong and that they should go through all these hormones and surgeries to change it. But homosexuality is just how it is. It's just like, you can do it with any consenting adult. It doesn't really affect your body negatively, as long as you're using protection and stuff. But like with this other stuff, like it can definitely be harmful, and it can definitely waste your time and money and all this other stuff. It's like getting nose jobs and stuff. It's like comparing apples to oranges, homosexuality versus transgenderism. And some people don't agree with some parts of homosexuality. That's fine. It doesn't make them bigots. It just makes them, it's like they don't want to fully understand it, and they want to have their own world where they don't believe in it. And that's fine. Anyone can believe anything, and I'm not going to be against them for that. And as long as they're not like spewing out vitriol and belligerency and, trying to spread misinformation, I'm fine with it. I don't know, like, it just seemed like it's common sense that it's not just caused by trauma, that everyone just kind of develops a sexual orientation as you grow older. And it's kind of natural, and like people have different pleasure parts. Like males have prostates that penetrated from the back. You could reach that gland, and I think that proves there's genetic structures that literally intertwine with homosexuality. So there's almost like a genetic social kind of basis to it that I feel like transgenderism is lacking. And even for women having like clitorises and it being sexual, and it showing that humans do sex for many different reasons and not just reproduction. So it kind of proves that it's not, since there's biological structures that are, there, that it just kind of shows me that there's, more to human sexuality. And then the trans people try to bring up intersex, which is a condition. I've said this like a million times. And it's like saying like, okay, I got a condition. I have scoliosis, right? I don't refer to it as like a spectrum. Like people have straight spines and then it's a spectrum of spines. No, I have a condition that can cause me problems down the line. I don't compare it to people that have like normal spines. I don't think that in biology we should teach people that people have different types of spines. Unless it's a class teaching about conditions. Even if it is somewhat true that there might be a certain population of different spines, but most of us have straight spines. I don't. It doesn't make me less than to, know that my spine isn't going to be placed on the board. In fact, I don't even want to look at my spine. My spine's kind of weird to look at anyways. It's like with these intersex people, they're not trans, they're their own thing, they're a condition, they're a sexual development condition, and basically they're still either female or male leaning, meaning that, it's a female with, more testosterone. She's got an enlarged clit, you know, being born. That's usually how it looks. Or like a man with XXY chromosomes having Klinefelter syndrome, and he's got slightly a deviancy in like his body shape and stuff, but like it's still male. And how we decide that is that there's this line that is drawn in the sand on how these people are depicted, you know. And even with the kind of most, you know, the most controversial case of intersex, which is androgen insensitivity syndrome in men, it's still a male condition, but the women that have it present in a feminine way because of what their body looks like. And it's not because of their genetics, it's because of what their body looks like and their insensitivity to male hormones. Just look like women. They can't control it. That's why it's a condition. Just like I can't control my scoliosis. It's a condition. I can't, you know, I could get surgery, I could try to help it, but it's a condition. It's a condition, and that's fine. It doesn't devalue me. It doesn't make me feel worse about myself. It doesn't. It just proves that there's something different about me that can possibly be fixed or whatever. And you know, most intersex people don't want to be quote unquote fixed because they can't fix them. How they're made is just fine 99% of the time. Speaking of transphobia, I want to talk about that on Reddit because this video is about Reddit. And basically, this one trans-identified male who really is trying to cling to being a woman to the point where he says he's AFAB, which basically means assigned female at birth. You're not assigned it unless you're intersex, which leads this to being a stolen label that the trans community has come up with. They've stolen labels to describe their experiences, which isn't right, I feel like. But basically, he was like to one of Shapeshifter's videos, which he's a very prominent detrans man. Basically, he was a male that got the surgery to try to look like a woman, but then it failed, backfired on him, and he's trying to spread awareness on how crooked this surgery is and how a lot of the time it doesn't work out and it like fails and it does this stuff that you don't want it to do. And I feel like he's a very important voice, and you know, he's like the Christine Jorgensen of our generation. If you don't know who that is, it's a trans-identified male who's also homosexual, who also has blonde hair. I compare those two because he's a modern-day Christine Jorgensen, because he's like the reverse. Like, he knows that he did damage to himself to try to fit in, so to say, as like a woman instead of a feminine gay man, which he is. So he tried to look like a woman in every way he could possibly find out by. So the doctors did that surgery to him. And this man is, this trans-identified male in the comment section is like, sit down and shut up. Shapeshifter has never opposed trans care, so I don't know where this bloke is getting this from. Whenever I hear this, you know, or I hear transphobia, or I hear like, you know, that, it's like, it reminds me of these entitled men, usually these men that just are dominating. They're just like, you know, they're more dominating than I could ever be. I mean, they're just like, oh my, they really like that power. They want the power of language. They want that. They want this stuff so badly because it makes them feel powerful. It makes them feel validated, and they disvalue any other opinion. When they say sit down and shut up, it means
you listen to me. You listen to me nicely, you agree with me, anything I say or do or actions, you agree with me, or you are transphobic.
That is what it reminds me of. You are a bigot, you are boisterous, you are vulgar, you're belligerent, and you don't deserve to have a platform. You don't deserve to speak. And I've heard of so many threats from these trans-identified males. I've heard of them that they would say this stuff about these, they call them TERFs, to really, you know, they want to come up with some derogatory term because they think being called men is derogatory. So they came up with TERF to describe women who just don't agree with them, and they're feminists usually. And they will literally say sexual crimes to them. They will literally say really awful things about them and get away with it because they're just so oppressed that they just can do it. Because we're basing it off of oppression, and obviously these women don't know what it's like to be a trans-identified male and living in the wrong body. So obviously they're not as oppressed as him. So obviously they need to be thrown under the bus and taught a lesson, right? And it's not fair. As a man, I'm a feminist. I want to stand up for our women that believe in anything they can believe in. I don't care. I stand for women. I don't stand for trans-identified men. I stand for women. And when I hear stuff like this from them, I get enraged. I hear it on these, and these women, this woman that I listen to, Runaway Siren, she's one of my favorite feminists, but she would read these comments that just aggravated me. And I don't know if it's for the shock factor, if they're like truly real, and if they are, these men should be held accountable for the things, these threats that they're saying. But it just enrages me to even think that they would write something like that, or say sit down and shut up to other men that are struggling because their bodies are ruined, and they want them to just shut up, basically. It's awful. On Ask Transgender, like, they do that all the time. They want us to sit down and shut up because our voices don't matter. And it's like, I'm not trying to devalue your opinion. I'm not trying to devalue your sense of self. If your sense of self is based off how I feel, then there's something clearly wrong with your sense of self. Your sense of self is so fragile when you say the facts. Shapeshifter always says, the truth isn't transphobic. And it's like, they get so enraged when you bring up the fact that they're men, just like me or Shape. They're men. They get so enraged, and it's like this is not even, it's not my fault that you're a man. It's your freaking parents' fault that you're men. It's being born that way. I mean, it doesn't matter how much you alter your bodies, and yeah, sure, I'll agree that you've altered your body. Cool, nice. You have, cosmetic assurance over your body. But it's like, they just feel so entitled, and a lot of them are middle-class white men that just feel they're entitled. And then they have like some sort of mental illnesses, and I feel bad for them. Yeah, I do. Part of me feels bad that they feel like they have the right to do this. I feel bad for them. Generally, I do. I worry for them too, to follow the same fate that Shapeshifter has, or other men who have ruined their bodies through the surgery. So, I'm also bisexual, and I like both men and women, so I went on Bisexual Men, and I thought, wow, well, I'm going to be accepted here with my opinions and my feelings, and maybe even be validated. I don't even care really most of the time, but I just felt like I wanted to, and and see what other men had to say. And what on there, it kind of shocks me how biased and just phony it is. It's biased because it's like, you can't have a belief that like men are men and women are women, and that can't change. You have to sit down and shut up. And I'm tired of that. I don't want to sit down and shut up and spread lies. I want to be able to spread the truth. I want to be able to spread awareness for these surgeries that they're doing to these men, and how it could be affecting gay men, and and it could be, mostly affecting women and children, the worst of it. Like I said, in the school system, with the start of this video, that little girl literally thought she wasn't a little girl because random reasons. I go on there and I'm like, well, I won't date a trans person because I think they look uncanny. I believe that, and I believe that. And like a lot of the times they do look uncanny. And there's just, I'm sorry. Like I think plastic surgery looks uncanny. Not to mention this is intentional vainness that they didn't need. That's not, that's just my opinion. I'm not saying that they're like awful people. I don't think they are. I think they're misguided. I think they're confused. I think that they have really bad body issues, but I don't think that they're like deformed and evil, and I don't think they are. I think some of them like to really, like I said with that one guy, be dominating and, spread misinformation and try to do that. But I think generally, I think they're good people. Generally. But like when I said what I did, and I said that I wouldn't be attracted because of the ideology and it contradicting my own beliefs and it contradicting my own feelings about myself, and, then they're like, because like I feel like I can be feminine as a man and not be less a man for that. And when I said that, and I spoke my truth, I spoke, factual evidence, biological facts, it just gets shunned because it's not the culture norm right now to go against it and to be counterculture while still believing that there's some biological reason why humans look the way we do and act the way we act in some way, in some sense, and in some ways, and kind of reproduce the way we do. And words mean stuff to me. I'm autistic. I like to be blunt. I like to be realistic. I like to be on point. I like to that's part of who I am, and that's the part I'm sharing on this channel, is that I like to be authentically me, and I like to share my opinions and thoughts, and I like to share some facts, and I like to be honest and truthful, and it just kind of, every time that kind of happens to me, and it's happened many times where I've been kind of shut out of Reddit's like LGBT spaces because I don't agree with everything they say. It makes me kind of sad because it's like, I've never really truly accepted myself as myself, and now that I am, it's like I'm still shunned for it. And it's like, I thought like for sure some people in my own group would accept me, but it's like they don't. Like if they don't accept my opinions, they don't accept they don't accept that, they're not accepting me. They're just putting, they're just labeling us, and it's like I'm not all I am to them is a sexual orientation nowadays, because it's so capitalized, especially on Reddit. It's so capitalized now. We have Pride, we have this whole month, and everything about it is capitalized. It's like, it makes me feel bad, like all I am to them is commodity, and I don't want to be that. I want to be more than that. I want to be myself. I want to love who I love, and I want to spread that. And it's like, I can't do that if people make it all about this capitalistic society that we live in. And transhumanism, I'm going to call it transhumanism. And, it's not, it has nothing to do with me. It's like, it's just like sad. It makes me really sad, like to think that like I'm devalued in this kind of way. And, it just kind of messes with me from time to time. I went to like social groups in real life. Even me being close to expressing my opinion in these groups where a lot of these people are socially awkward, and I'm just going to say, this one guy was identifying as non-binary. I was going to say I don't really believe in that, but I was too scared to say that because I really didn't want to hurt his feelings. So it's like, part of me feels bad, right? But I do want to say stuff. I don't want people to, think that they're wrong for liking the color pink if they're boys, or having long hair as boys, and or shaving their faces so that it's like smoother, and that makes them less a man. And it's like, it makes me really sad, actually. Like, it makes me really sad and feel like it's like pathetic, those type of ideas. And I wanted to say that he's a lovely human being, and that, like, he had very beautiful blonde hair, and I've always wanted very long hair, and it makes me sad. It really does, because it's like he has to join this almost cult-like religion and to feel like himself, and it's like, we don't need that. We don't even need, I hate to break this to you, but we don't even need LGBT anymore, because people should accept people for who they like and who they are. And it's like, it makes me kind of sad that, like, we have to have these labels. Like, you have to have these capitalistic almost labels, like lesbian, gay. They're so capitalized now. They're not even like what they meant in the first place, which is men liking men, women liking women, and then bisexual people liking both genders. And like, it's so politicalized too on Reddit, and it makes me kind of sad, because it's like, that's not what it's like. That's not what the literal experience of being gay or bisexual is like. They might be running away from themselves too, in a way, where they're jumping on this bandwagon of identity, and a lot of them are straight people too. They jump on this bandwagon of it to find themselves, and Reddit isn't exactly the best place to do it. They will never really truly find who they are if they try to do it through the internet and think, be on chronically online on Reddit and think that Reddit people know what they're talking about all the time, especially when it comes to these identity politics, which they really don't. They don't know what they're talking about. They give people half-baked advice. They give people advice that, like, oh, maybe you could change your gender expression, maybe you could go on hormones, maybe you could do this, if people feel a slight discomfort. And it's like, no, some people can't change their gender expression. Newsflash, like, some people are living in places where it is hard to be any different than, a regular man. Having shorter hair, having all those stereotypical bullshit things. And it's hard to get away from that in some places. And you're literally threatening people's safety for that. When people say, oh, you need to come out as gay to everyone around you, I say that's threatening people's safety. Sometimes it is. And you need to know the right people to come out to, too. Or bisexual. You need to know the right people you can trust and that will support you. You can't just come out to everyone. And like on Reddit, they're saying, oh, just take hormones. Is that really the safe? That's not, like, safe, though. It's like, you're basically giving them out like, oh, all cosmetic surgeries should be for everyone, kind of thing. And it's like, with this one, it's like, it's a mental health issue. Like, if you don't, like, you need to be 100% sure. And, not to be true scum here. I'm not a true scum. I don't believe in transhumanism of the slightest. I believe some people can actually be gender dysphoric. Yeah, there's some people that don't like their bodies. I believe that. I believe there's some GNC people, gender nonconforming people, gay people, bisexual people. But if I did, here's the version of it I would believe. I believe that there would be some people who are truly dysphoric and need, by need I mean they would take their own lives if they didn't get it, transition and stuff. And the thing that these people are doing is saying, oh, everyone should do it. And no, not everyone should do it. No. Granted, I don't, to me, I don't think anyone should, because it's bad for your body. And, I'm super, I'm super into health and stuff, and I don't want people to hurt themselves. But, that's just me. But, like, I don't like these half-baked opinions that can hurt people, especially if it doesn't, they don't really want it cosmetically. And they're like, oh, just do a trial run of, like, 2 months of taking hormones or something. In 2 months, you could, have permanent side effects. Like for some women, their voices change so quickly on just testosterone. Like in 2 months, her voice could be kind of broken forever. And, I've heard of that. And there's this one woman on YouTube that has talked about that. And, I think her voice is very important, both literally and figuratively. And then for men, our tissue here can come in really quickly on estrogen, and yeah, it doesn't go away that quickly. And in fact, mine probably won't ever go away because I was on it for way too long. Some subs for Reddit, like the detrans Reddits and actual detrans, detrans is filled with a lot of gender critical people and not actual people that went on the hormones or done any of the surgeries. And the actual detrans is filled with some, a lot of those people that did do that, but then it's filled with these trans identified people that you have to agree and kind of bow down to their opinions. Trans women are women and stuff like that. They're kind of cult-like rhetoric. And I think that both subs can be kind of biased because one, we need to have, because like they shut down all gender critical subs, and detrans is the only sub where they can do it. So I think they should open up another sub for gender critical, right? So we respect everyone's opinions here, come on. And then have actual detrans kind of, I think like maybe have like a thing called like detrans plus trans, where that stuff can just kind of intertwine over here, where that can just kind of soak, where detrans people talk to trans people and kind of talk about their situations. But I think actual detrans should just be detrans people. I think it should be people that went through the hormones and surgeries, and they can have whatever belief they have. And detrans, they do have that too, where you can have whatever belief, and I like that. I feel like you can be your authentic self on there. It's like on this other sub, this actual detrans, you have to silence your voice, sit down and shut up. Whenever I look at these subs that are like LGBTQIA plus negative sign divided by sign on Reddit, I think and I look at them and I'm like, what kind of things can you say on them? And it reminds me that my speech is silenced all the time. Sit down and shut up is kind of what I'm gonna maybe even call this video, because I feel like it's like such a masculine, just powerful, dominating, just not something I could ever even come close to. Like it's like how can they get away with that and still be identifying as a woman and still think that they have any sort of femininity to them? Not saying women can't do this, but like usually like they're put into the rules and they're pretending to be like this, or they're like more butch, and they're just like these kind of women would just be very rare to find. And I don't believe a lot of it is male aggression, male behavior, male thought patterns that just don't disappear with estrogen use. That I'm saying there could be plenty of powerful women. There has been. And this is not one of them. This is a powerful, dominating man that still has remnants of testosterone in him. On that note, I'm gonna leave this video on here and kind of discuss with you guys some other day. But if you guys have any thoughts, write down in the comment section. And if you disagree with me, that's fine. I don't care. Write down your disagreement, and I'll peacefully debate maybe if I have time. But have a good day, people, and you guys have a lemony day, because I'm a lemonade rat devil, dude. So yeah, peace out. This woman looks like she sucked a lemon.